This episode of the Sellik the Thunder has been brought to you by OneFootball. The OneFootball app, of course, as you know, gives you everything you need to know in the world of football, all in the one place. Live score alerts, it gives you match news, it gives you team announcements, goals as they come, everything you need. It's just all there. Keep up with the transfer window as we come into deadline day. You'll get everything you need. It's in the top line of the description, and by using my link, you're helping both me and the channel sponsor out, so make sure to check out that description. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sellik the Thunder podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Fitzsimons. Today I'm joined by two of the esteemed guests, as usual. We've got Mr. Kieran and Callum Craig. So nice to see you boys. Kieran, I'll start with you. I don't even know what's the point in asking anyway about how you doing.
Terrible, Ryan. Absolutely terrible.
Nice start. I didn't expect you to be so blunt. I nearly spat out my tea. And Callum as well, you're back after last week. You were both of you party actually on the 4-person show. It was us three. Aye. Callum, you're back anyway. How you doing, mate?
I think your video last night summed up fine, mate. Numb.
A good Linkin Park covers to come in here. Of course we're recording yet again, and we're back to the good thing is we're back on a Sunday, which is nice. But it's just back to the normal sadness. The tone is just depressing. Celtic lose for the first time at Celtic Park to St Mirren in over 30 years, I believe. 1990. Celtic 1, St Mirren 2. I've spoken enough about the game yesterday, so I'll start with you and let you come into the conversation. Kieran, we'll talk about the game itself first before we get into the politics behind it. What did you make of Celtic's performance yesterday?
I mean, what can you actually say? It was just abysmal, isn't it? From start to finish, you just had the feel as soon as the ball kicked off, you're like, this is just going to be one of the games, isn't it? And it's just the way they cut through their defence with such ease, and it's just been the story of the season all year. It's just constant mistakes and just making it look easy for these teams, and Celtic Park's no longer where it used to be. Teams don't come here feeding to get absolutely hammered off Celtic because they know realistically they're not going to get hammered. Only one team has properly got a doing this season, and it was the very first game of the season. Yep. So I think teams have got this confidence coming to Celtic Park, and it's just depressing.
It was one of those ones again, as you said, you just had the feeling of it. Just when I said yesterday, my video, you looked at the way the team was set up and just everything was pointing towards the wrong direction for Celtic. Callum, Neil Lennon, we'll come on to him more in particular soon. There's a long conversation about Lennon to be had, considering everything he had to say after the game. But he was talking about the game, the performance itself. He said, first half was really poor. Second half, we got better. Now, to me, I don't think we got any better because the thing is, right, for as much as you can say to me, and Neil Lennon has used this time and time again, we've kind of littered them with attack after attack, but we do nothing in the final third. And we've not learnt, we've not improved, we still struggle to break teams down. So how, in any way, is that an improvement in the second half? For me, it's just the same story from every game we've had this season so far.
As in, the way it just keeps coming back to me, I've seen somebody put it on Twitter yesterday, this is becoming, it used to be you'd penalty Rangers, what minute was a penalty going on, so it was a penalty bingo. It's just Lennon bingo now. You know exactly what he's going to say every time. And as you said, it got better in the second half. I think the only part of the second half he watched was when we had that spell at the end of the game and it was just constantly pressuring their goal. I think that's all he watched it. That was horrendous.
Shane Duffy, I guess we have to talk about him. He was one of the key parts of the demise yesterday. His defensive ability was once again on display, or should I say lack of defensive ability. Kieran, is beyond a joke at this point, isn't it?
I mean, I can hold my hands up and say I bought into the hype at the start of the season. I
think we all did, to be fair. I think we all bought into that.
I think some of us a bit more than others, Ryan, do you not think?
I'm just the unlucky one who had a platform to see it. That's my excuse.
No, but I'm guilty as well. I thought he was going to come in, tighten up their defence and just give us a bit of stability, and he's genuinely made us into a fucking laughing stock. How that man has forged a career in England for so many years, I do not know how. Supposedly he's been playing the best league in the world, and then he's came up here to Scotland, like so many others have came up here thinking it's just going to be a walk in the park, and then he's genuinely up there with the worst signings Celtic have ever made. And I don't know if he gets top spot, but he's fucking up there.
I think that you're underestimating it in that sense. I think he might be one of the worst signings the country's ever seen, never mind Celtic. I think
I
he
mean, if you
potentially
look
takes
at it
that
in
crown.
that way, in terms of the expectation coming up here, it's not as if he came up here with nothing to prove. He had everything to prove coming up here.
Yep.
Celtic fan coming here in the season, we were supposed to be bringing home the 10, and for him to be so consistently terrible, it's not even like there's any glimpses of hope in that. It's just shocking week after week. And for Lennon to persist using him, and I don't think it's due to, I think Lennon's aware of how shite he is. But he's just not got much option. I mean, I know he could play Welsh, but what defensive cover have we genuinely got?
So
Now,
thin in
Ayers
the
having to
ground.
play it right back, like it's just paper thin. And with Beaton getting injured as well, just leaves us with even less cover at the back. Not that I'm a fan of Beaton.
This was my fear when Frimpong left the club, and I said this on the last podcast. I'm like, it's all very well and good saying that Ayer can do a job at that right back, and he's proved himself to be decent at that there time after time. But you know, the fact that we need to now go the rest of the season with a centre back playing right back, a centre mid playing centre back, and then one backup centre back who has barely seen first team football at Celtic is a joke for the apparent champions of Scotland. Callum, yesterday defensively, we know we were really poor, and I think we've seen that all across the back line. I think that, Kieran, you were one of the ones who came on here, or you said, at least to me anyway, you weren't the biggest fan of Taylor. You thought people were getting a little bit, people were sitting saying, he's good, he's good. I thought yesterday was really poor. We obviously know the centre backs were really poor, and Aya was over on that right back once more. So, Cal, we're at the point now where it is we're looking at the consequences of losing Jeremy Frimpong, and it's harming us even more than what we could have originally imagined.
Aye, I think when you say with Greg Taylor, see, the only reason I think people are looking at Greg Taylor and saying, he might actually be better than we think, is because Laxalt's not been like at the races. He's not been that good. See if it's under competing against him, then you would see the play the actual is. Personally, I don't rate him as high as fans have been doing. As you're saying, we're losing Frimpong, having to go and chuck a centre half at right back. It's just one thing after another. It just continues to go on.
Aye. Well, St Mirren, fair enough, they came here, and you've got to give it to them because, they played really well. They were the ones that deserved the game. But Kieran, you hit the nail on the head. Teams don't come to Celtic Park anymore with the fear of losing. They come here and know they can take the best of us. So, there's a severe problem there, and it comes once again back to the manager. And I understand this point that I've been hearing on the radio and stuff all week, and some people, the optimists, will continue to say, the players have got to take a share of the blame. But as I said yesterday, Kieran, you look at that team, and even when we went out in the second half, he's taken Griffiths off and he's brought on Rogic. We've then brought Stephen Welsh on. The team then set up for the second half, and they just look lost. And yes, we can always say that players might need to share the responsibility for how poor we've been, but we look clueless. There's still no plan. He apparently found this narrow diamond formation that was meant to, bring the best out of us, and once again, we look lost.
I mean, it's been the story of the season. I've said it on here maybe a couple of times about how we've never found a formation that we can just stick with. It's always we get one that works for a few games against the weird teams, and it most of the time works, and then we get found it. And it's just happened again. Like, if this can't show the board that Lennon's not the man to be here, like, he's had chance after chance. He's changed the formation, and then he's changed back because they've not worked. He can't figure out a way to play against teams, especially Rangers and the teams at the top of the tail. But when we're getting beat off teams like St Mirren, as I said, fair play to St Mirren, they deserved the win. But it's just embarrassing that we can't expect wins for Celtic anymore. Like, obviously, you've not got any divine right to win games, but you've always got that expectation. Celtic Park, you've got a team like St Mirren at home. You should be playing so much better than what you are. And it's the fact we've got to the point that we're not even surprised about it.
Aye.
We genuinely aren't. Like, when we were getting beat yesterday, it wasn't anger. I was feeling, it wasn't shock. It was just nothing. Like, with Neil Lennon in charge, I said it before, I don't expect us to win a game with Neil Lennon. And I also believe that if Neil Lennon was to go on and lose game after game after game after game, he's still going to get sacked.
Yep.
And I don't understand. I heard that in your video, Ryan. It seems like he's the safest man in the world in football. Like,
it's baffling.
I don't understand how he never got sacked months ago, and then every game since you're like, surely. But he genuinely seems like he is never getting sacked for that job. It's like he's got tenure or something.
It's like the way I'm trying to think optimistically of it today is it's a Sunday and I've got the day off and they'll make the announcement tomorrow. But but this rate, it's not going to happen. Callum, as Kieran says, they have destroyed the love of the game for Celtic fans this season. You know, we are all feeling numb, and you say that at the top of the show, so I'll come at you for this. Like the board and the manager and everybody involved, what's been happening this season should be ashamed at the way that fans have had to go through this season. You know, we're paying £510 to watch a team from our homes and playing drastically bad football. As Kieran said, we're numb, we're not feeling anything. I mean, surely that is enough of an indication for them to turn around and go, right, things need to change.
So I'd agree with us in that, but I personally feel nothing will happen. See, until we've got a manager that's an absolute cert, he's ready to go, like pen's put to paper, and all as a matter of an announcement.
Mm-hmm.
I still thought we're going to be stuck watching this shite. Then again, who can we turn in and say, right, come and take over? Especially now, because the shite on a form we're in. Yep. You don't want to come into that team, continue that bad on a form, and then it looks bad on yourself.
I know.
I mean, but I think MD at all would have predicted this to happen.
Speechless.
But even Mystic Megan, the fucking sun with her magic ball, she couldn't even have fucking predicted it. That's bad.
You know that this is one thing I wanted to touch on it before we move on to Neil Lennon and the job itself and all that stuff, because we've got a lot to speak about in terms of him. I think he continues to lose a marble each week, but Lennon, in terms of the team yesterday, did any of you, because I personally didn't see one, did any of you, I mean, maybe, do you know what, I'll maybe give Eduard a slice of credit, right? But did you feel there was any standout performers on that pitch? Do you feel like there was any positives to take away from an individual? Apart from the fact that Eduard has now scored in consecutive games from open play, nice enough, but, over the course of 90 minutes, I didn't feel anything.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and slate them, but if you look at the past couple of months, you've had Turnbull, you've had Sorrow. They've normally been the standout performance, but they had quiet games yesterday as well. Like, there's a lot of mistakes not happening, losing the ball. It just, when you start to see, like, when you see players that have been playing so consistently well having an off day, you just know it's not going to be a good day at the office. And I feel like that's been the problem with Cal McGregor this season as well. You can go as far back as maybe October, November time, when he started going off the boil. You're like that, when one of your most consistent players is starting to play badly, that's when everything starts to fall to fuck. Because people that you normally can rely on to be the one driving you forward, getting back in defence, he done everything. But when he's starting to have off days, it's not a good sign for Celtic. I do feel sorry for Cal McGregor, because he's been hit with the captain's armband, and he's the one that's having to go down with a sinking ship. Yep. And he's getting carted out in front of the media when there's players that are so much more deserving of getting absolutely slaughtered. I understand he's a captain, he's got to go out there and represent the team, but get Shane Duffy in front of the cameras.
Aye. Get
players like that in that just aren't pulling their weight. It's just, I know we've moved on from it, but I just cannot believe how terrible he has been this season. And I've only seen him carted out once in front of the media. It's
something that I think that I'm just going to keep with me until the day I die, how bad Duffy was, considering the hype we did all kind of buy into when he came in. But, as you touched on, quiet days for Turnbull and Sorrow, Cam, I don't know about you, I feel like over the past few weeks, we have seen that sort of, I still think, I hold my hands up and say right now, I'm not saying that he's been rotten. I think Turnbull has still been impressive for us and that, but over the last few weeks, Turnbull has been one of the players who hasn't been quite what he was, say, this time last month. I think that players all look depleted. I think they all look like they're lacking motivation. But for me, I think that all goes back to one place, and that's Neil Lennon. I don't know about you. I feel like that could just be me, but I feel like we're not seeing the same sort of performances that we might have in like late December time, even the whole of December from the likes of Sorrow and Turnbull.
I think, as you're saying, it just all goes back to Neil Lennon. If we were to get this fresh manager in, everybody gets a boost from that straight away.
Nice.
So we're not playing under that one-dimensional level of football. It's no constant take the ball, pass it side to side for Disney. Duffy will try and play one of these fucking long balls that never work. Gets picked up in the defence and played right back towards us. Until something is done, i.e. management-wise, I feel like one of the players that you said, they're just going to be depleted.
Aye.
Nobody's going to have that sense of boost about them. Turnbull and Sorrow, they done it as soon as they came into the team, because they're like, right, this is a chance for us to go and prove ourselves and get ourselves in. Both of them have fucking took it well, but as you said, Turnbull started to sort of, a bit stagnant recently.
Aye.
See, I feel like it's a lot of pressure to put on Sorrow and Turnbull when you think about it. Obviously, they came in and they were a breath of fresh air in the team. But I just feel like as good as they've been, we're putting a lot of pressure on these two guys to carry the team. They're two young guys. Like, I mean, what, 21, 22 sort of age?
I think so, yep.
Like, people seem to forget that. Like, we are resting all our hopes on these two young guys to try and save our season. They were never going to be able to do that. They were able to try and give a wee good run of form, but you need everybody to pull the weight. There's experienced players in that team that have not shown up all season. And it's just, that's where the problem lies. You can't rely on these young guys to save us.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. I feel bad for them. I feel like it's unlucky for them that they've came in and they've made such a good first impression. Everybody just expects that to carry on week after week after week. But as you said, you've got to pull together. The squad have got to pull their weight. Everybody's got to put in that effort. Players burn out. We know that. You know what? When you're the only player week in, week out that's managing to pull out these results, you know, it does have to come to an end. You can't do it 38 games of the season. You know, it's very rare you see a player play 38 games incredibly well. So, I think you're spot on with what you say, Kieran. So let's move on to Lennon. We've talked about the game. We've talked about the performance yesterday. How funny was it when Big Duffy tried his Virgil van Dijk run, man? Oh, Christ almighty. This could just be the Shane Duffy special. I feel like we could have a few of them this season, right enough. But my God, he's hopeless. Neil Lennon. So, yeah, we sit here right now, we're recording, and it's currently 5-4 on Sunday afternoon. Neil Lennon is still in charge of Celtic. I'm just waiting for the black smoke, to arise from Celtic Park. But it doesn't seem to be happening. I've got a good view as well, but I don't see any. And he's still here. He spoke after the game. And even, right, so first of all, before the game, was it just me or did he sound like done just as he was going into the game? He sounded so down and out. Did you see the pre-match interview?
No, I didn't catch it, but the way you're describing it, that's been him for
but this one sounded especially done. Like, it was, every question he was asked, it was a big... Yeah, you know, we got it. You know, it was like proper. Like, he seemed finished, and then you get to after the game, and he comes out and in spectacular. I want to say, you know, remember a couple of years ago we were slagging Gerrard for throwing players under the bus. He comes out and he throws the players under the bus, not even gently placing them under, or gently place them under. He throws them under the bus. He brings Lee Griffiths after defending him midweek. He brings Lee Griffiths into the light of conversation. To me, it was all the marks of a man that looked like he was going to lose his job, but he's still here. So, is it Kieran? Has he just completely lost it? Is that how? I mean, we've seen him off the rails for a few weeks now, but that was something.
The man has completely lost the plot of this season. I just fail to comprehend what's going on in his head. Like, for the tactics to the press conferences, just the way he's conducted himself this season is shocking. And the fact that I'm only starting to see some Celtic fans saying, right, come on, Neil, leave now. Leave with some dignity and your reputation intact. Nah, he had that chance months ago. Any chance he had to walk away at legend, he's fucking kissed it goodbye.
Aye.
If he leaves now, he'll be remembered as the man that stopped 10 in a row by clinging on and waiting for the payoff. I've said this so many times, but that you can't be classed as somebody that puts the needs of the club ahead of your own. And everybody can see it. He's just hanging on for the payoff, and it's just brutal to watch because it's somebody that everyone is admired in the past. You can appreciate the achievements he's had at Celtic as a player and his first spell as manager, the things he's done for the club. But it gets to a point where you can't ride that wave of your past achievements forever.
Yep.
People need to wake up and see the mess he has single-handedly got this club into. Well, no single-handedly. The board's been
very guilty of the same thing, aye.
Him and the board hand in hand have ruined this club in a season. 9 years worth of work. All the work that Rodgers done the last wee bit as well.
Aye.
It's all been taken away like that. And it's just amazing that you can do that in such a short space of time. You've just demolished everything that we'd built up in progression and took the club however many steps back. Because it's just horrible to watch, and I just can't. Like, I've seen on Facebook as well, people saying, like, still saying that, oh, you don't know how good you have got it. I'm like, I thought they'd all died off weeks ago, but they're still, some of them
trust me, you know, their hands are rising for the ground at every passing minute. You know, you can't get rid of them. You think they're buried and then they're back. Callum, Kieran's speaking there about the reputation going down the pan. This is a manager who back in October said, you know, I'll hold my hands up if things rapidly deplete and say, you know, I'm wrong, I'll move. You know, this is the Celtic man who's meant to do the best for the club. Is it beyond the point of forgiveness now, the situation that he's got us into?
I do think, like, I said to my dad yesterday, I said, like, any chance he had of any form of managerial career whatsoever, even if he left the now, he's completely fucked it. He's fucked his CV completely.
Why?
Due to the way he's ran it this season. If he'd done it the way Kieran said it after that bad run of spell, seeing if he'd done it back after, what do you call it, Sparta Prague, come back then, I thought, right, fair enough. It gives somebody enough time to come in, take over, and do what he need to do. But again, as Kieran said, he's just clinging on to that fucking payday.
Yep.
He's just holding it for that.
It's because he knows he's not going to get another job.
Aye.
What team, no matter how low in the league shooter, you look at the mess that Neil Lennon's managed to get Celtic into this season with all the finances possible in Scotland.
And even at that, this is the thing, people are forgetting as well. Look at the way that he departed Hibs before he came to Celtic. You know, this is 2 consecutive jobs now that he has shared a torrid relationship with the fans on the exit of the club. So in any right mind, I don't see a club across any of Scotland's top 2 or 3 leagues that would look at Neil, because let's take out League 1, League 2, because they're never going to be able to pay Neil Lennon a wage anyway, unless Neil Lennon was that desperate he needs to take such a low wage. Let's take them out of the equation. I don't see any teams in League, in Championship or Premiership football, or even down in England's Championship or what going, do you know what? He seems like the man for us, because he's made a complete arse of it in both his past jobs now. You know, he had the chance to do really well with Hibs. It started going down, and then he leaves with having fisticuffs with Flo Canberry and arguments with Leanne Dempster. And now, you know, he's to blame for Celtic's demise of this season. And, you know, we don't even know what his relationship with the board is now. He's seen Law step down. That could be down to whatever reason. And there's so many things that just, I don't see how the owner of any football club could go, aye, Neil Lennon, let's take him on, aye.
I know. It's just, I find myself, I just think to myself, nah, surely no, but it's getting to the point where you're wondering, does he even care about the results he's getting now? Because as ridiculous as it sounds, it seems like he doesn't give a fuck. Like, he is willing to just drag this club down with him. Yeah. And I know many people probably raging at the fact I've said that, but it's the reality. It just looks, for the outside in, you're like, this cunt is trying to drag this club down with him, kicking and screaming and clinging on for dear life until the very last moment, because he's already came out and said, you need to sack me. He doesn't care how bad these results are getting. He could lose so many games on the bounce and he's like, I'm still not leaving. Which Celtic man does that? Yep,
I know. And Callum, yesterday as well, I had this conversation, also David from Talk Scottish Football, you know, we kind of spoke about this last night. Kenny Crawford, by the way, what a phenomenal job he's done over the past couple of interviews. He's been taking Lennon to the cleaners, it seems. You know, Lennon's been lost. The one after Livingston at Almondvale, you know, Lennon was trying to scrap with the guy there, the way he was answering the questions, and then yesterday just sounded defeated. Kenny Crawford was pumping him, but like, he comes out and he goes on about Griffiths, and it's baffling. And look, I think we could all agree. I think the majority of Celtic fans have been very disappointed with the way Lee Griffiths has conducted himself over the past, you know, sort of 6 to 9 months. You know, he's not been ready. He's not been fit. He's been doing too much talking on social media. I think that, you know, he looks like a player who's probably not at the level of what Celtic want to be, or what the fans want Celtic to be. But yet, Lennon comes out yesterday and he just doesn't give a toss, and he throws Griffiths right under the bus. He singles him out, and this is after only defending him less than a week ago. So, Cal, it's baffling.
Oh, as it's genuine. It seems like he is just looking for any form of excuse now to go out and give it the press. Like, as you said, how can you defend a player less than a week ago and then comes in and goes, Mark, nah, thrown right under the bus. He done it at the start of the season when he commented on his weight. Yes, was overweight. We don't know. To that standard for the footage we've seen, I thought, how does that justify his overweight?
Yeah, no.
I've obviously got some standard that they must meet. And then for him to come out again yesterday and just slate him, I think he is just trying to drag everybody else down with a fucking sinking ship now.
See, wee Griffiths, he'll be gutted, by the way, because he spent the past couple of weeks brown-nosing Neil Lennon and Mr. Lawwell. Fucking Mr. Lawwell.
Oh, Mr. Lawwell.
I think Mr. Lawwell done a great job here, yeah. And then Scott Brown saying about Mr. Lawwell getting a statue.
Aye.
fucking statue saying he's a legend at the club. I'm not having that. Like, I argued, like Mark even said it the other night, saying, well, like, Peter Lawwell must be a Celtic legend because he oversaw that. I'm like, how does that equate to anything? Legends are managers, they're players, they're not fucking people in boardrooms.
There's no suit and ties. Aye.
Like, the only person you can maybe argue is Fergus McCann for saving the club, and even then he was booed when he was unfurling the league flag and that. And I've seen people saying, oh, this might be a situation where in a few years we'll look back on Lawwell and like the whole way we did with Fergus McCann. I'm like, nah, no chance. People's memories won't forgive this season.
I can understand that. Look, I've said it in the channel. Look, Law does it, and this is a nice wee transition. Very nice, Kieran. Like, we're going to now come on to Peter Law's retirement, resignation, whatever you want to call it. Of course, we were kind of shook during the week to unexpected news that he will step down after obviously months of lambasting Peter Lawwell and of course protests, banners, all the rest of it. So we'll come on to that now. Look, I'll be first to admit Peter Law has done a fantastic job in a business sense for this club. He's, consistently kept profits high. He's kept financial situations well. But, this whole thing about being a legend and that, I agree with you, Kieran. Legends are on the park. Legends are managers. Legends are the likes of Jockstein, Jimmy Johnston and Billy McNeil. That's the kind of legends that this club produces. It's not a man who sits there at the time making business decisions at the football club. However, I will give the credit that he deserves in terms that he has run as well as a business in a game that is ever more becoming a business-orientated sport. Also, I can understand that, he's done well in bringing domestic success to the club. But since the day he took over as Celtic Celtic chief executive, for me, it is a club that has continuously moved backwards on a European stage, first of all, which is obvious to see. We've never really progressed in Europe. I think reputation-wise, we're not a club that people want to play for like they would have back when Martin O'Neill was in charge. And ultimately, we're riding. Fans have been, told to live off the successes of the past when we want to move together to better ourselves as a club and to make more history and develop. And the development has been stunted massively over the past 6 months. So his resignation, Kieran, come to you first, it is for the best of the club.
Of course it's for the best of the club. I mean, as you said, I'm going to sit here and say, yep, you can completely appreciate that he oversaw one of the most successful periods in Celtic's history with the four trebles back to back. You can't argue with that. But it's the whole lack of ambition. If you look at how many times we qualified for Champions League football, the amount of money that we missed out on because
I think the stat was 200 million quid we've missed out on.
If you add up all the seasons, if you get to the group stage, all that money that Celtic could have been bringing in, you look at Celtic teams of the past, like when we got to Seville, and you just got to the stage where we'll never get to that again.
Yep. I
know football's been ever changing. There's a lot more money in it, and teams like us have obviously been priced out of it.
Yep.
But Celtic haven't changed with the times. It's just, obviously, we've been unlucky with TV deals and that. Like, the money up in Scotland is just not enough. But at the same time, you look at these teams, you're like, that was only coming up 20 years ago.
Yep.
And we're so far away from it. In the time that Lawwell's been here, we've only qualified. How many times was it for the Champions League?
I think it's five. Well, we done it twice under Strachan. I think, or 3 times under Strachan. Twice under late. I think it's 5 or 6. It's 5 or 6 definitely.
But since 2003,
and 17 years is shambolic.
It's not for a club that Celtic that's meant to be a big European club. Their stock has fell tremendously in the last however many years. When was the last time we were in Champions League? Was it 2017-18?
Yep.
And we got absolutely slapped about.
Yep.
Right.
Now, apart from the fact we got an away win at Anderlecht, Kieran, do not forget we got an away win at Anderlecht. But look, I hate making this comparison all the time because they are a genuine European giant. But look at somebody like Ajax, with the way they have been run. There is no reason. They're in a league that has got far less exposure than us. The Eredivisie does not get as much exposure. Yes, it might produce better talent, but that's down to the way that clubs are being run. If we took a leaf out their book, we could be consistently making Champions League group stage football because they do it year in, year out. And because of how well they've been run on and off the park, over the past few years, they have made it to a Europa League final. They played in Stockholm against Manchester United, and they also made it to the Champions League semi-finals. Now, before people put words in my mouth and start saying I'm claiming that Celtic can make Champions League semi-finals, it's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is this. Ajax are not a club who have the luxury of these big super giant teams across Europe. They don't spend like Man United. They don't spend like Chelsea. They don't spend like Real Madrid, Barcelona, PSG. They're Ajax. They come from the same sort of background as Celtic, whereas they were one of the biggest teams in Europe over the 60s, the 70s, 80s. They were a massive team. And because they have worked in a way that has allowed them to develop young players and also make group stage football with a lot of ambition in the Champions League, they are getting the benefits of it, whereas Celtic are being left in the dust. And that is what Peter Law has done. He's stagnated. I seen a scary stat, Callum, the other day, and it was brought to me by my good friend Zach. Not Zach Goodwin, but Zach. He gave a point. I think Brendan Rodgers' net spend as Celtic manager was £200,000. Now, Callum, I don't know about you, but it's once again, we're kind of, I think under Law, we were a bit naive in the sense that, a lot of fans were naive to go, we're being run well as a business, but there was such a lack of ambition.
I think it was, in fact, the other night I was speaking to my neighbour and we're saying like how we go back to the 7-1 against PSG, obviously over in Paris. I think there was a point that it had been said that Rodgers had said, right, well, what am I supposed to do? Look, you're not giving me funds. That's the best I can do with that team.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you give me some form of income, I cannot better your results here. Even if it was to bring it down to say a 3-1, a 4-1, a 3-1 would be very respectable to us if we went early and somehow only get beat 3-1 after getting a 7-1 drubbing. And then again, there was continuously always said to be problems between Rodgers and the board because it wasn't getting the financial backing. A lot of people have said that was a big factor in why he left to go down there, because he knows the financial backing he'd get down in England. Yes, obviously get better contract, better league, better all that. But again, I don't think we've had a manager out of the last 3-4 that's had a good relationship with the board. Also, Lennon twice. He didn't really let much say. I think he just get brought in.
I think he was just there to be a kind of puppet to the board because they knew that he wasn't going to demand all these things. Ronnie Dyler was generally just happy to have the opportunity, I think.
Even when him, like, he won the league twice in a row, done his two, and he knew it was far too big for him. He stepped in. I know we're past the Lennon stuff, but that he's not a Celtic man. Dyler didn't. He probably knew nothing about Celtic, the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew when it was time to step in. He knew when it was too big for him. But again, back to the hang with the board. Rodgers again didn't get financial backing. He's probably turning right. Well, they'll give me the better backing. Fuck you, I'm off.
Yep.
See, the whole point I was going to raise as well, we're talking about how Celtic are no longer a Champions League club, and that's due to no getting backed. But we are seriously in danger of slipping out of being in the bracket of being a Europa League club. After last season's showing, look at how poor we done after the heights that we reached the season before, getting to the last 32, and that's all you can expect for Celtic now. But you can't even say you expect that now. After we got hammered 8-2 in aggregate, if you count it, with Sparta Prague, in the first round was against a Sparta Prague team with 7 first-team players missing.
They had electricians and such on the park.
Fucking, it just continues to get more embarrassing season after season in Europe. And for the past few years, you've been able to excuse that because everybody had this in their head that as long as we win the 10. But what's happening now?
Aye.
There was always going to be a plan after we won 10 in a row or we never won 10 in a row. And everybody just seems clueless. Like, where do we go? The next natural progression, win or no, was to try and get better in Europe. And we are so much further back than we were, 4 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even progression. It's a complete rebuild in Europe and in all fronts. It's
domestic
just
Europe.
A monumental task at hand for the people that are coming in, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Well, it nicely lets us transition into the positives of the announcement midweek, and that is the fact that Dominic Mackay. So it's announced that Dominic Mackay will take over the Scottish Rugby chief operating officer, and obviously the chairman of the Guinness Pro 14 League as well, innit? So of Pro, what is it, Pro 13, Pro 14? I don't know. I don't like rugby.
It's 14.
Aye.
Yep.
He's been announced as a new COO, which is it's exciting because of course we're finally getting a change. A lot of people using the old he's a rugby man. What's he come to Celtic for? Kieran, is this an indication that the kind of dynamic of Celtic will change next season? Do you think a chief of football, whatever it's called, will come in? Director of football, forgot what it was there, will come in next season?
I'd have been happy with any change, but I think you could look at the positives of this and saying that he's not coming for a footballing background. And the whole point with Lawwell is everybody felt he was trying to get too involved in the football, as if he was a director of football. He was the chief executive and he was running the roost there, transfers and all this, and it just felt like he had too much power when it came to the actual football. So hopefully this Dominic Mackay is able to take a step back and let the people that know what they're talking about actually do their job, instead of trying to run the transfers and that, just let them get on with it, and just hopefully that formula works. I'm not going to sit here and say, it's going to be a immediate, everything's going to be roses as soon as it comes in. We don't know that.
No.
We're just putting our hopes in it, and we just know that it's surely got to be better than what Lawwell's managed to do the past couple of years.
Yeah, we've not heard an awful lot about him, so there's no point in taking presumptions that this is the day of all days. We're going to be back to normal next season and winning trophies again. There's a long road to go down. There's a lot of things that have to change. The one thing that I would like to say, and I'll come to you, Callum, to kind of give me an opinion on this. Surely to God, Dominic Mackay, if he has any ambition to start off this role with a positive, and to try and get things running as good as possible from the start, surely he's got to be looking right now and going, right, Neil Lennon's not the man who's going to be managing my football team.
That would be the best decision he can make. I see to get all the fans on his side early doors. That could be the best thing you could do, right? Lennon wouldn't be in charge, even if he says about obviously wouldn't take any part in it this season because he'll always share at the end of the season. But the first thing if he could do is say, right, with immediate effect, he's done. See him away. But I've seen a lot of people speaking on Twitter. Apparently, he's very proactive with the fans. He always wants to engage with the fans and get stuff for them. So even if it's simple stuff like fan zones, for example, things like that would make a difference at Celtic Park on a match day for a start. People doing. He's very active to try and just get the best he can possible. I thought Kieran was going to say something.
No, I think he was interrupted for a second. It's fine, just keep going.
I thought he was going to say something. No, but everything that's been said, he's been very positive. It's not been the case we've been with Lawwell.
Sitting laughing at Kieran's face, he's just sitting there like that. Right, Cal, finish your point, I've said.
Oh, no, it's fine. I'll leave it on that.
Is that you? No, I have seen that myself. I've seen that. A lot of people were saying that. That we can expect him to come in and have a very good relationship with the fans from the start. Look, and one thing that I said in my video before I knew anything about him at all is one thing that I really want the new board to look at is the affordability of the game for fans. I want to see us reduce these ticket prices. I want to see us be able to get as many people into the stadium as possible every Saturday at a price that we can all afford. For people that aren't, as fortunate, because nobody can afford to pay £35-40 for an individual game. It's just undoable. But I've seen talk of expect him to treat matches as events. He's somebody who would like to get alcohol allowed back in the stadium. He's shared a positive relationship with everybody in the rugby side of things as well. So Kieran, it's exciting to have something fresh.
And I know you just hope there is fresh ideas and that it's just a step in the right direction. But what we're talking about, Lennon, I don't know if that's what Callum said because obviously I was interrupted and had to take my earphones out. But I see all this stuff talk about the best move. I heard them. I know Callum said that the best move would be to get everybody on side, just get Lennon out the door. And I completely agree with that. It'd be stupid to come in and try and keep Lennon. And I don't think he's going to. Surely a new face, and he's not going to keep what was the problem the first time. But see, just one more point about Lennon. Have you seen the stuff in articles where he's supposedly saying he's excited to do the rebuild in the summer?
Yep. Now,
what the fuck is that?
I know that frightens me.
That's deeply concerning.
It is very concerning, but I'm holding on to this last. I'm clutching at the straws of optimism that it's purely down to the fact that he's still not spoke to Dominic Mackay and he's still under the impression his job is safe. he's saying that, I'm hoping just to try and get something positive out of his mouth and stop him from saying something even more bizarre in these interviews. If he's here for the rebuild, expect season tickets to plummet. Expect Dominic Mackay to be off to the worst possible start as CEO. So I don't know, man. I hope that it is just him saying it out of utter cluelessness and sort of, his own blind faith to his position. But then again, we've become used to seeing this invincible Lennon, it seems.
I know. Surely it isn't, but because you think surely the board couldn't be that stupid. But we've seen it so many times this season where they've no sacked Lennon when they should have. So, but they know how much we're going to rely on people's blind faith with the season ticket money next season. Are they going to sell season tickets with Neil Lennon as boss? Are they fuck?
Aye.
So, and we could go into the conversation of, will we renew if it's Neil Lennon, but I don't think it will get to that. I think there will be somebody new in the summer at this point. If there isn't, then God help us all.
Say that like it's one of the speeches you see in the telly right before the war begins. Like, God help us all. That's it. Just seems like
fucking needed that season, man.
But we've done a lot of talking this episode. So Dominic Mackay's coming in. I'm sure we're excited. I mean, swear to God, if he's here for the summer rebuilding, I just don't know what to expect in the rebuild. Like, I expect so many players more than what we ever anticipated to go, right, I'm off, see you later. And I expect shit signings, which brings us on nicely to the final part. We are 1 day away from the January transfer deadline day. And say that again?
Are you sure it said then? Double checking. I thought it was a second.
Is it a second?
I don't know.
What it was a second for us, and then England always finishes earlier.
Well, whatever it is, we're 1 or 2 days away. But it's the last podcast we have in the January transfer window, and it has been a quiet transfer window. We have done bugger all. And we started the window in a position where we needed improvement. We didn't get improvement. We then had a positive in a big negative in the fact Frimpong left. We didn't expect that. We then had a positive in hearing that Ben Davies was about to sign for the club on a pre-contract, and now that seems like it could be up in the air. We don't know. Burnley are apparently igniting interest, and if he's got more brain cells than Neil Lennon, he'll be choosing to move here to Burnley than Celtic at a minute because we're in some state. So, Kieran, thoughts the January transfer window, and more specifically, the kind of telltale signs that it would suggest with Davies pulling out of a potential transfer.
Obviously, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but when you see talking these players, like maybe these deals being in doubt, you're not surprised. You're like, why would they come here? Like, what is the drawing factor to Celtic now? Like, what's making people think I want to go and play for Celtic? It's certainly no Neil Lennon. Like, I don't know what sort of wages we're offering these people, if we can even compete with the likes of Burnley and Bournemouth, teams that are supposedly interested in that Ben Davies. I know the deal could still go through. I don't know what's going on with it, but it's somebody that obviously I'm not even going to sit here and kid on. I know if he's a good player or no, but we just need defensive reinforcements, whether it's in the summer or the new, it's needed. We need it the new, but if we need to wait to the summer, so be it, because this can't get any better. And I don't think any signings are going to actually change it. We would need miracle after miracle after miracle to make this season better. I don't think MD's going to come into that squad and making an immediate improvement. And in terms of other players we're signing, I did have the suspicion it was going to be a quiet window just because it's us in the January window. We don't normally do much business, but it's just depressing.
It's just depressing, isn't it? It just depresses me. But Callum, we kind of had that setback with Frimpong leaving, and it left us even more vague at the back. And look, we certainly do need defenders. Is there any sort of wiggle room for acceptance, knowing that Peter Law is now stepping down, potentially Neil Lennon will go, that there is no point in trying to chase nothing this season? Do you think there's any, sort of acceptance towards the fact that it's been a quiet window for Celtic? Or are you still just disappointed that once again we're going to probably go the rest of the season losing and dropping points willy-nilly?
I think it has just came to the point. It's just sheer acceptance now. Like at the start of the window, I expected us maybe go and get a centre half in, maybe an half full back, something that could have perked us up. But even an all winger, because of the fact we've no Forest this season. something like that. But again, it's just been linked with. There's more links than a fucking butcher's at this rate, guys. Unbelievable. Like, until, like, as we're saying with the Davies deal, I won't kid on. I know what the boys like. I won't turn and say, oh, he's wonderful, this, that, and the rest of it. Until something's fully solidated now, nothing pleases you.
No, it's once again as well, we're hearing the old rumours of Olivia and Cham being linked to a move out of the club. There's clubs interested. I think first off it was Newcastle that were interested in their own deal. There's now talk of Marseille, I believe, as well, looking at the availability.
Lyon as well.
Lyon too. These are clubs who could step in now at the final hours of the transfer window and take them. If Celtic were to lose out on them, you're talking a fee of over, you're talking £6-7 million maybe for Olivier and Cham. You'd like to hope so anyway. I think the days of getting a higher fee for him are well gone, considering how little he's played this season. But if he was to go, say it was £6 million on top of the 11 million that we've apparently made for Frimpong, that's close to £20 million. Then maybe take away the fee as well that you've got to give Manchester City on top of that. You're talking over £10 million has been brought in and there has been no reinvestment. So, Kieran, are you fully expecting the board to go into the summer now and proper go for it, make signings and invest this money? Or is it going to be the same we've seen?
You might see a flurry investment if we get a big manager in, like an Eddie Howe or something, but if it's Neil Lennon, like in the nightmare scenario, then I'll be fuck. We'll be spending like £10 million tops in the summer, but it's a massive rebuild. I think there's going to be a lot of players at the door, like players that in previous seasons we might have hoped to would have got a bit more money for, but everybody's stock has fell this season. Absolutely everybody's. I don't think there's any player that maybe Ayer can maybe say he's stayed at a level where we're not expecting much more or anything. We're just expecting what we expected at the start of the season. But in terms of other players, everybody's stocks fell. We won't get that much money in. And I'd be happy to see Cham go. And I'm glad that all that pish is stopped months ago. Celtic fans saying on his day, he's the best player on the park, best midfielder in Scotland. When the fuck was his day? Like, we'll always have Lazio away.
Rome, November.
Against Rangers. But
aye,
we'll have they two to remember him by, but otherwise, he just never turned up, honestly.
You're gonna get pitches and fucking pitchforks and torches to your door now for that statement, Kieran. No, I think everybody's woke up to it. Aye, I think
it was at the start of the season when he wasn't in the team. I was like, no, and Cham in the team. I seen like some Celtic page on Twitter saying how they've never rated him. Then somebody went and found a video they made up and they called him Le Magician or like that. So it just shows how people's opinions change on players. But I probably used to think the same. On his day he's brilliant, but I woke up to it a long time ago that he never has his day. It's once in a fucking blue moon. And I'll be glad to see the back of him, to be honest, because losing out on him, it's not going to impact the squad. When's he get a game?
Yeah.
So I'll take anything I can get from him.
Right, okay. We're basically done with all the major conversations. Very quickly, we've got Kilmarnock on Tuesday night. Alex Dyer, another man who's woke up and smelt the coffee, left the club by mutual consent before things got worse. That's how many managers now this season? 3 managers. 3. Mm-hmm. 3 managers in this fight have realised they don't want to wreck the club they're at. Fair play to Alex Dyer. I always liked him. I thought he was a really good guy. And it just never really worked out for them this season. I think Kilmarnock were really unlucky with how things have fallen for them this season, with the amount of COVID spikes and stuff that's hit them in particular. And I feel bad for him, but he's been involved with Kilmarnock for such a long time. I was hoping they would do well at them, but well, it's not their concern, I suppose. A tough game, very quickly. Callum, Rugby Park, bad form. It all adds up to a Celtic loss on Tuesday night, doesn't it?
I was like, what Paris Chanel said, this could potentially have been the best time for us to go there. The fact they've just lost a manager and a shite on a form. But you see it with so many teams, see when they lose their manager, they somehow get this wee perk and they lift it up. Look at Livy after the thingy, Gary Holt left. Martin come in, perked them up, and playing phenomenal now. But again, it's always teams like that once they lose a manager, they somehow go in that decent run of form.
No. That could have been us months ago, but we were called entitled.
Yep, exactly. You put it well there. But we're playing Tuesday night. I don't even think there's a point in asking for our predictions anymore because, it's just sad, isn't it? It's just a sad state of affairs. So I'll move on to the Twitter questions that I put up a tweet earlier today, saying that it was yet once again a saddened tone to the show. Get your questions in for the panel. So I'll go through as I usually do. I think the first one I'm just going to answer off the top. Sean asked, "Is Ryan still feeling numb?" The answer is yes. Yes, I am. The only thing get me through nowadays is fucking the time walk by Tenacious D. Put that on, it puts a smile on your face. That's about it. First question, anyway, is from Lewis Laird. Lewis, friend of the channel. Good man, Lewis. Make sure you go and follow him out. Scott Robertson back on loan, lads. So Lewis will be letting us know how he does it there. Anyway, Lewis says, what must Stephen Welsh be thinking watching that first half defensive performance, Kieran?
I know. I seen the reply and I was like, it's spot on, because he's looking at Shane Duffy, he's looking at Neil Beaton, and like they are fucking hopeless.
Aye.
And he's sitting there. What age is he? 19?
19
Something
20,
like that.
20 maybe.
Aye.
Maybe.
He's sitting there like that. I'd easily cruise it compared to the two.
Aye.
And this is Shane Duffy with all these years of experience in the Premier League and in England and that, and he's been woeful. Neil Beaton, I'm probably one of his biggest critics. Absolutely shocking. Should never play at centre half. It's just because we're missing out on players at right back. Ayer needs to fill in. I would much rather see Ayer and Welsh at centre half and get somebody in at right back. Yeah. I'd give Welsh his chance because he can't be worse than what we've got at centre half now. He deserves his chance.
Just to quickly add in a correction, he just turned 21 last week. So
21.
He just turned that last week. Callum, but once again, it's another bizarre management of a player. He gets thrown in a few times this season in big games. He got thrown in the Old Firm right back in October. He then got the game against Hibs when we lost a lot of our players, performed decently well, and then was dropped. And then he's dropped for the shambolic performances of Duffy and Beaton. It kind of highlights both the issue in Neil Lennon's team selection and also the faith that we're installing in our younger players.
I think you generally must be sitting there yesterday thinking, what the fuck, what more can I do to get a game here? Because as you're saying, no much more can go fucking downhill this season. So why no go and give him a game? What chance have you got? I mean, we've seen Hibs do it with Porteous for the last year. He's a young player. The only way he's going to get better is to give him game time. He's not going to get any better sitting his arse.
I know, I'd rather have a young player at centre half make mistakes and learning compared to fucking Shane Duffy, 29 years of age. I think he's 29 now.
Aye.
He's all the defender he's ever going to be. He's not learning from mistakes. That's him. He is. Aye. That's him for the rest of his career. These young guys have got the chance to come in, get a bit of first team football, and actually show what they can do. Learn. If they make mistakes, they're young, they can get away with it. But you've got people like Beaton and Duffy, two of the most experienced players in the team, that are consistently making these mistakes. I'd rather be one of the young ones doing it.
Connor Carr asked, why in God's earth is Lennon still there? After each interview or match, I detest him more. Do you feel he has tarnished his own reputation as well as the clubs? Have kind of touched on that, haven't we? And I think that we're all in kind of a unanimous agreement that he's ruined his own reputation. I think it is beyond forgivable at this point in my eyes. And the club are forever with him in charge a very unattractive team to play for. So I don't think we need to dive into that too much unless any have got anything to add to your arguments earlier.
I think I got it all.
On the same thing. Aaron, so we kind of touched this a minute ago. Aaron says, surely Ben Davies looks at that performance and decides against coming here. Does that not kind of scare you that, we are trying to get players in pre-contracts like Ben Davies and then we play like that yesterday? If they're sitting watching that, it's that kind of look like, is this the right thing for me, Kieran?
If I'm Ben Davies and I'm looking at a club that I've not got any connection to or nothing pulling me there other than just it's a bigger club and I see them getting beat like that, you just go, fuck that. I'm not going up there. If he's got offers down in England, but he can stay in his own country and his home country, can just stay in the same league or even move up to the Premier League, why would he opt to come to Celtic with the nick that we're in? Mm-hmm. How is this an attractive option to anybody?
And it's like that, Callum. It's like one of those things now. If Celtic were to pull the trigger over the next 24 hours and get rid of Lennon, suddenly you would feel a lot more confident in signings coming to Celtic.
Aye, because again, like I touched on a bit earlier, people that want to come in and play under Lennon, you don't look at that team and go, aye, that's a manager I want to play under, especially after yesterday's chucking players under the bus. If I was Ben Davies, I wouldn't turn and go, oh, I want to go and play for him, provided, say, Lennon is here next season. He says, oh, I want to go and play for a man that's going to fucking chuck me under the bus because I play a couple of misplaced passes and I have an half game. Yep. And as I said, until we've got somebody there, paper signed, ready to go, that's all. Until then, I don't see signings happening.
John F. Kennedy, Mr. Big JFK, has asked, why is it, and this is one I don't feel like we need to answer either, but it's a point that I do want to bring up and just acknowledge the reply. He says, why is it when people talk about Peter Lawwell being a financial genius, they never mention the fact that since Strachan left in 2009, we have failed to qualify for the Champions League 8 out of the last 12 seasons, thereby missing out on £200 million of potential income. And we kind of touched on it, didn't we? It's mad, you know. It's something that I don't think we've kind of really considered until now. And every year we go, that's us missed it in 20 million, 30 million quid. But when you look at it over the course of that build-up, oh my God almighty. And I think that's the kind of thing, that's the reason clubs like Ajax are still giving themselves these opportunities, because they're getting this 200 million quid. Imagine Celtic had it. Would make a massive difference in where we are as a club at the minute. Daniel asks, would you take Marvin Comper over Shane Duffy?
That'd be some centre-half partnership, wouldn't it, man? That'd be a real laugh.
Yeah, we never even go to see Comper play, for all we know. And then finally, actually, there might be a couple more in the other tweet. Callum, do you think if Karamoko Dembele was given a run of games to the end of the season, he'd sign a new contract? Asks Jamie.
Again, that goes back to the point I previously said. That all goes down to who's in charge for next season. For me personally, like if say somebody in the board was turning and saying, right, we're giving you a new contract, Lennon won't be here next season, it'll be somebody else, that straight away would be an absolute lift to say, yeah, right, I'll stay here for another 2 years and develop my game on. Because he could go and get a move down south to a manager that's going to play him a lot more frequently. He's going to actually use him right and develop his career.
I think the only way you've got him staying is if a new manager was to come in this second and play him till the end of the season. But I think even if Lennon gave him a run of games, I don't think he would stay. I think it would need to be a new manager coming in this instant and basically saying, you're going to be in my plans. Because he's not even, if you're a young player like Karamoko Dembele, you're going to have interest all over the world. You're not going to want to put your hopes on, I might get played under a new manager as well. So
I just want to point out something. A sports journalist from down south has just reported that apparently Liverpool are considering a late move for Ben Davies to help solve the defensive issues they've got at the minute. So you can put that in the drain if Liverpool are going to be in for him. Oh, just the luck. Yeah. Funnily enough, a Preston fan, the top reply is a Preston fan saying, deal 10 million plus Robertson and Alexander-Arnold, please. The final question, I'll move on to Kieran. I'll let you answer this one to finish off this segment of the show. Ryan McGinley, friend of the show, of course, one of the panellists of the Celtic the Thunder, he's asked, what do you make of Mark Hughes saying he'd be interested in the Celtic job?
No, you're all right. We were talking about this earlier, but maybe 8 years ago, I'd have jumped at the chance of Mark Hughes being the next Celtic manager. But I just feel like we feel like he's slipped into that bracket of the dinosaurs, English football.
The Tony Pulises, the Sam Allardyces, all these guys.
It's not what Celtic need.
No,
it really isn't. He's had his chance at big clubs. Man City never got kept on there. He's been at basement dwelling teams in the Premier League. That's his forte. I don't think that's. He's just never. You could argue that with Eddie Howe as well, that he's managed Bournemouth, who were always near the bottom, but they at least had a better play style and actually had ambition. They were signing young players.
Exactly, and at least with Bournemouth, the fact is they were, first season, or one of the first season, I think it was first or second, they finished 9th in their first attempt. They were a top half side for the first 2-3 years under Eddie Howe, and then it kind of just went to, they were always at mid-table, signing young players, and being the 17th richest side in the league, they had fresh ideas, they knew what they were doing. That is not the case. You look at the difference in signings between Eddie Howe and Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes is the kind of guy who goes out to sign your all these names, the kind of Harry Redknapp signings, your Crankjars, your Peter Crouches, all these kind of guys. That's not ambition. That's trying to survive. That's the difference between an Eddie Howe and a Mark Hughes. That does all the questions. Callum, do you have a quiz for us to end off the show today? He's just like, let me check. I'm not sure. Because last episode we never actually had a quiz. I don't know if you've managed to catch the show, but we just kind of ended impromptuously. We didn't have one. So we've got 10 minutes left on the Zoom call. We'll see if Callum's got anything for us. If not, we'll wrap up with a couple of bold statements as Callum frantically searches his notes.
Can I get that fucking list for the music podcast? That's
Oh, right, aye. Keep an eye out for Callum's new podcast coming soon.
I'm gonna certainly get that in motion. No, I tell you, right, I thought I did not.
Oh, you don't have one? Well, that's all right. It's
I was
fine.
gonna say, I think it might have been the Cynic podcast they're doing it, but I was just thinking if anybody would like be interested in seeing us talking about like maybe like we were talking about saving it for the summer, but
Aye.
things are pretty bad now. If we maybe start talking about favourite games and that, doing podcasts, knowing the current issues, but maybe on things like that, would people be interested in
That's a
actually
good
seeing
idea.
them?
Nice,
Make
Kieran.
people
Nice.
happier.
I know exactly. As you're calling the shots there, I like it. Aye, if you want to see anything different, let us know. Of course, I've always said as time goes on and we get the chance to record these in person, they'll become a lot different. Zoom is not the ideal situation, but sadly the world is shut down and we can't exactly get out and about. So of course the show will will develop as time goes on. We'll get to record in person, and then as I mentioned, we'll do stuff like worst players we've seen podcast, best players I've seen podcast, match day memory podcast, stuff like that. We'll get round to it all. But if you want to see anything anytime soon, as Kieran says, feel free to let us know in the comments. But I think that's about us then. I think we're just about wrapped up. It's been a pleasure, lads. Before I go, I'll give you the opportunity I always do. I'll start with you, Kieran. Is there anything you would like to add before I end the call?
Pretty much just reiterating the point that Lennon needs to go sooner rather than later. We can't wait to the end of the season because we're getting into the realistic possibility that we could get pulled into a dogfight for second place. And if we keep going the way we are, that's exactly what's going to happen because Hibs and Aberdeen will not be too far behind us if we keep playing like this.
Cal, yourself?
Just to reference the tweet I put yesterday with Duffy, get the fuck, and once he's there, get further to fuck Lennon for one.
Nice.
Agreed.
That's you. Agreed. I think we can all agree. Lads, it's been a pleasure as always. I've enjoyed this. We'll speak sometime during the week. I don't know who'll be on the next show. I'll get it sorted out, but whoever it is, I look forward to seeing you all again. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure to share things out. And if you're watching or listening on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. Help the growth of the podcast. It's been a good restart in terms of not Celtic, but
What
us.
number's this?
I think this is number 6.
6.
No,
Not bad.
Not bad. Usually my series have a tendency to end after 3 episodes, so quite happy we've made it to 6. Ladies and gents, as I said, make sure to have a good one. Try and enjoy the game Tuesday night. I'll be back tomorrow with my match preview for Kilmarnock, and from me, Calm, and Kieran. I'll see you all next time.